The officiant's voice echoed through the chapel. "If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace." I smiled at Daniel, my hand warm in his. This was it. Our moment. Then I heard the chair scrape against the floor. My stepson, Liam, stood up. Slowly and deliberately. The entire room turned to look at him. My heart stopped beating instantly. He walked toward the altar, his footsteps impossibly loud in the sudden silence. In his hands, he carried printed papers of screenshots, evidence of something. "I object," he said, his voice steady and cold. Whispers rippled through the guests like wildfire. My mother gasped. Daniel's grip on my hand loosened. "Liam, what are you doing?" Daniel asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Liam looked directly at me, not at his father, at me. "She's been manipulating you, Dad, for your money, and I have proof." He held up the papers, turning them towards the crowd. I recognized my own words on those screenshots, messages I'd sent at some point. But something was wrong, terribly wrong. Daniel didn't bother to defend me. He didn't even say anything. He just stared at those papers. I could see his face draining of color. The room erupted in murmurs of accusations and shock. My wedding started collapsing, right in front of everyone. And Liam said, "I have all the proof we need." I stood frozen at the altar. My white dress suddenly started to feel too tight and very hot. Liam began reading from the screenshots, very loud for everyone to hear. "Once we're married, his money becomes mine too," Liam read, his voice carrying across the silent chapel. I recognized those words, but not like this, not in this context. "I just need to make sure he trusts me completely," he continued. My stomach twisted. Yes, I'd written those words, but they were part of a completely different conversation. They'd been taken out of context, edited. "Liam won't be a problem for long." That one hit me like a punch. I had never ever said that. "Daniel, please," I whispered, turning to him. "Those messages aren't what they seem. Let me explain." But Daniel wasn't looking at me anymore. He was staring at Liam, at the papers, at the guests, whispering and pointing. "I think," Daniel said slowly, his voice shaking, "we need to stop the ceremony." "No, this is ridiculous." "No, she would never." "Just stop the ceremony." The officiant cleared his throat uncomfortably. "Ladies and gentlemen, it appears we'll need to pause." "Cancel it," Daniel said, pulling his hand from mine. The whispers grew louder. Someone started crying. My aunt, or maybe my cousin. I couldn't tell anymore. The room was spinning. My wedding was canceled, just like that. Outside the venue, the autumn air bit at my skin through the thin fabric of my dress. I followed Daniel out, my heels clicking desperately on the stone pathway. "Daniel, please, just listen to me for 1 minute," I begged, grabbing his arm. He stopped, but didn't turn around. "I need space, Bailey. I need to think." Those messages were edited. They were taken out of context. I don't know what to believe right now. Behind us, I heard Liam's footsteps. He walked past me without even glancing in my direction. Like I didn't exist. I mean, like I'd never existed. "Liam," I called out. "Liam, please." He climbed into Monica's car. His mother's car. She'd been waiting in the parking lot. She'd known this was going to happen. Daniel followed him, and they drove away together. I stood there alone, still in my wedding dress and mascara running down my face. I'd lost both of them. In a single moment, I'd lost everything I'd worked for, everything I'd built. And then I remembered something Liam had said a few weeks earlier. Something strange, something that hadn't made sense at that time. He'd said, "Mom says people aren't always who they pretend to be." Why hadn't I paid attention? My full name is Bailey Morrison. Wait, no, I can't use that last name. My name is Bailey Anderson. I'm 32 years old, And for the past 3 years, I've been in a relationship with Daniel Morrison. When I met him, he was still recovering from his divorce. His ex-wife, Monica, had left him for someone with more money and more status. Someone who could give her the lifestyle she wanted. The divorce had been brutal, especially for Liam, who was only 13 at the time. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and subscribe as I continue. Daniel was broken. Liam was angry. Their home felt like a war zone. I didn't plan to fall in love with Daniel. I was his accountant, helping him sort through the financial mess Monica had left behind. But somewhere between the spreadsheets and the late-night coffee, something shifted. I fell for his kindness, his dedication to his son, the way he tried so hard to keep their world from falling apart. And eventually, I fell for Liam too. The angry teenager who just wanted his family back. For 3 years, I worked to help them heal. I cooked dinners, I helped with homework, I listened when Liam needed someone to talk to about school, about his mother, about everything. And one day, about 6 months ago, Liam told me something that made everything worth it. "You make this place feel like home again," he'd said. I cried that night, happy tears. Now I wondered if he'd ever meant it at all. Back in my apartment, still wearing that cursed wedding dress, I pulled out my phone. I needed to see those screenshots Liam had shown. I needed to understand. Daniel had forwarded them to me an hour after the ceremony, with no message, just the images. I opened them, my hands shaking. The first one showed a text conversation between me and my best friend Amber. "Once we're married, his money becomes mine too." I remembered this conversation. We'd been talking about joint bank accounts, about how marriage legally changes financial responsibilities. It was a practical discussion, not a gold digger's confession. But in the screenshot, everything before and after that sentence was cut off. Then I noticed something else. The timestamp. It said the message was sent on March 15th at 9:47 p.m. I opened my actual message history with Amber. I found the conversation, the real one. The timestamp on my phone said March 15th at 9:47 p.m., yes, but the message directly before mine, the one giving context, was missing from the screenshot. And the date format was wrong, slightly off, like it had been edited. My breath caught. The messages were altered. Someone had deliberately manipulated them to make me look guilty. But who? And how? Only one person had ever seen these private conversations. Only one person could have accessed them. I scrolled through more of the screenshots, my heart racing. Each message came from conversations about Daniel's financial stress after the divorce. Conversations where I was actually helping him, advising him, and supporting him. "I just need to make sure he trusts me completely." That line came from a discussion about Daniel's anxiety. He'd been hurt so badly by Monica that he struggled to trust anyone. I'd told Amber I needed to be patient, to build that trust slowly, to prove I wasn't like his ex-wife. But remove the context, and it sounded manipulative. Evil, even. The message about Liam, the one claiming I'd said he wouldn't be a hit-out problem for long, didn't exist in my message history at all. It was completely fabricated. Someone had photoshopped it, added it to a real conversation to make it look authentic. I sat back, my mind racing through possibilities. Who would do this? Who would want to destroy my relationship with Daniel? The answer came immediately: Monica. But how had she gotten access to my private messages? I'd never given her my phone. We barely spoke. Then I remembered. 2 months ago, I'd left my phone charging at Daniel's house while I ran to the grocery store. Liam had been home, and Monica had stopped by to pick him up for the weekend. She could have taken screenshots then. Liam could have unlocked my phone for her. My stomach turned. She'd been planning this for months. 3 days after the canceled wedding, Monica reached out to me. Well, not to me directly. She posted on social media. So proud of my son for standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. Truth always wins. Family always comes first. The post had dozens of likes and comments. People I didn't even know were calling Liam brave, calling me a gold digger, a manipulator. Then I got a text from Daniel. Liam's staying with Monica for a while. He needs space from all of these. Space from me, he meant. I tried calling, but Daniel didn't answer. I tried texting Liam directly. The messages turned green. He'd blocked me. The boy I'd spent 3 years building a relationship with. The boy I'd helped through panic attacks before tests. The boy I'd taught to make his grandmother's cookie recipe. Had blocked my number. Monica had him back, and she was using this disaster to pull Daniel back into her orbit too. That evening, I drove past Daniel's house. Monica's car was in the driveway. She was inside with both of them. The house that had once felt like my home, the house where I'd planned to build a future, was now enemy's territory. I kept driving, tears blurring my vision. I'd lost them both. And Monica was winning. A week passed, then 2. Liam never unblocked me. Daniel's texts became shorter and colder, like can't talk right now, still processing everything, I need more time. The house felt different when I visited, and I was visiting less and less. Daniel made excuses with work. Liam, stress. He was obviously pulling away. One evening, I found him in the kitchen, staring at his laptop. "What are you looking at?" I asked. He closed it quickly. "Nothing, just work stuff." But I'd seen the screen. He'd been looking at our joint financial documents, reviewing transactions and checking dates. "You're investigating me," I said quietly. He didn't deny it. "Daniel, I've never lied to you about money, about anything at all." "I want to believe that," he said. "But Liam is my son, and those messages, they were edited. I showed you the timestamps." "Timestamps can be fake too, Bailey." That hurt more than anything else. He trusted Monica's lies more than my truth. The house that once felt warm now feels temporary, like I was a guest who'd overstayed her welcome. I started packing my bags that night, just in case. And I started questioning everything too. Had I ever really belonged here? While Daniel was at work, I decided to review our financial records myself. If he was going to investigate me, I was going to investigate the truth. I logged into the joint account we'd opened 6 months ago, the one we were supposed to use for wedding expenses. I scrolled through the transactions. Venue deposit, checked. Catering payment, checked. Flowers, photographer invitations, all there. Then I saw something strange. A withdrawal for $3,000, made 4 weeks before the wedding. I didn't recognize it. The memo line said, "Family emergency." I'd never authorized that. Daniel hadn't mentioned any emergency. I kept scrolling. Another withdrawal of $2,000. 3 weeks before the wedding. Then another. $1,500. Someone had taken nearly $7,000 from our wedding account. And it wasn't me. I checked the transaction details. My hands were shaking. The withdrawals had been made in person at a branch across town, the branch near Monica's apartment. Daniel's name was on the account. He could have made the withdrawals, but why would he take money and not tell me? Unless he didn't make them. I grabbed my phone and called the bank, and that's when everything started to make sense. The bank representative checked the records. "Yes, ma'am. Those withdrawals were made by Daniel Morrison." "Well, someone with his ID and account access." "Can you tell me anything else about them?" "Let me see." The teller noted that Mr. Morrison seemed, let me read this, accompanied by a family member, verified relationship. That's unusual to note, but sometimes we do that for larger withdrawals. Family member? Yes, ma'am, probably his son or a sibling. I thanked her and hung up. Monica. It had to be Monica. She must have convinced Daniel to give her access to the account, or she'd somehow gotten his information. But why? That evening, I got my answer. Amber called me. Her voice sounded urgent. Bailey, you need to hear this. I ran into Liam's friend Nathan at the coffee shop. He told me something. What? Liam has been telling people you plan to sell Daniel's house after the wedding, that you were going to force Daniel to move and kick Liam out. My blood ran cold. That's insane. I would never. I know, but Liam believes it. Monica told him. She said she overheard you on the phone with a real estate agent. I've never called a real estate agent. Monica's building a whole narrative, Bailey. She's making you the villain in Liam's mind. And suddenly, everything clicked into place. The edited messages, the stolen money, the lies, everything. Monica wasn't just trying to ruin my wedding. She was trying to replace me. I wanted to confront Monica immediately, drive to her apartment, demand answers, show her I knew what she'd done. But something stopped me. If I went in angry, without proof, she'd just deny everything. She'd twist it around, make me look unstable and desperate. I needed to be smarter. I needed evidence. So I decided to wait, to watch, and to gather proof quietly. I started by tracking Monica's social media more carefully. Her posts about Liam, her comments about protecting family. Then I checked Daniel's phone while he was in the shower. I felt guilty, but I needed to know what she was telling him. The messages between them were recent and frequent. Just worried about you and Liam, she'd written 2 days ago. I know this is hard, but you deserve someone honest. If you ever need to talk, I'm here, for old time's sake. She was being careful. Nothing overtly manipulative, just supportive, friendly. Exactly the kind of thing that would make Daniel lower his guard. I was about to close the phone when I saw a voice memo. It was from Liam to Daniel. I hesitated, then pressed play, and I heard my own voice, talking about Daniel, about money, and about the future. But the words were wrong and rearranged. Liam had recorded our conversations, and Monica had edited them. I listened to the recording 3 times and my hands were shaking. It was from a conversation Liam and I had about 2 months before the wedding. We'd been sitting in the kitchen talking about college plans. He'd asked if Daniel could afford to send him to his dream school. In the real conversation, I'd said, "Your dad works so hard. He wants to give you everything. We'll figure it out together. Money is tight, but family comes first." In the edited version Monica had created, my voice said, "Money is tight. Your dad works so hard. We'll figure it out. Family comes first. We'll see." She'd cut out words, rearranged sentences, and added pauses that changed the entire meaning. It sounded cold, dismissive, like I didn't care about Liam's future. And that wasn't even the worst part. There was another clip, from a different day. In the original, I'd been talking to Amber on the phone while Liam was in the next room. I'd said, "I love Daniel, but sometimes I worry about taking on so much responsibility. Being a step-parent is hard." In Monica's version, it became, "I love Daniel's money. Taking on Liam? It's hard, too hard." She'd isolated specific words from completely different sentences and stitched them together. It sounded real. Horrifyingly real. No wonder Liam believed I was a liar. Monica had been emotionally guiding him for months, feeding him poison disguised as truth. And I had no idea. That night, Daniel came home late. He sat down across from me at the kitchen table, his face exhausted. Monica talked to me today, he said. Of course she did. She said she warned me about you before the wedding, that she noticed things. What things? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The way you talked about money and the house. She said you were always asking questions about my finances. I'm your accountant, Daniel. That's literally my job. She said it was different, more personal. I wanted to scream, to shake him, to make him see what was happening, but I could see it in his eyes. He'd already made up his mind. I think, Daniel said slowly, we need to take a break, temporarily. A break. Just until I can sort through all of this, I need to think clearly. And where am I supposed to go? I asked him. Maybe stay with Amber for a while? Or get an apartment? I stared at him, the man I'd planned to marry, the man I'd spent 3 years supporting, loving, and rebuilding. You're choosing her, I said quietly. I'm choosing my son. Your son is being manipulated, Daniel, by his mother. That's your perspective. It's the truth. But he wouldn't listen. He'd already decided. Monica had won. 2 days later, I moved my things out of the house. And Daniel didn't try to stop me. My new apartment was small, a studio on the east side of town, bare walls, second-hand furniture, a far cry from the life I'd been building with Daniel. I unpacked slowly, each box a reminder of what I'd lost. Wedding decorations I'd never use, picture frames with photos of the 3 of us, Daniel, Liam, and me, smiling, happy. Had any of it been real? I questioned everything now. Every moment and every conversation. Every I love you. Had Liam ever really accepted me? Or had he been waiting for a reason to push me out? Had Daniel ever truly trusted me? Or had I just been a distraction from his pain? I spent the first week in that apartment crying, sleeping, and avoiding Amber's calls. Rock bottom felt like this, hollow, numb. And then on a Thursday evening there was a knock at my door. I almost didn't answer, but the knocking continued. I opened the door, and there stood Liam. His eyes were red, like he'd been crying too. Can I come in? He asked, his voice small. I stepped aside, too shocked to speak. He walked into my tiny apartment and looked around, taking in the emptiness, the sadness. I'm sorry, he whispered, and then he started to cry. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to slam the door, to tell him he'd destroyed everything. But another part of me, the part that had spent 3 years caring for this kid, just saw a confused teenager who'd been lied to. I sat down on the couch. Liam sat next to me, wiping his eyes. Mom's stories don't make sense anymore, he said quietly. What do you mean? She told me you didn't want me at the wedding, that you tried to convince Dad to have a child-free ceremony. Liam, you were supposed to be my best man. Remember? We talked about it. He nodded, fresh tears falling. She said you were just pretending, that you told Amber you wished I didn't exist. I would never. I know, he interrupted, because I heard you. That night you thought I was asleep. You were on the phone with Amber, talking about how proud you were of my math test, how you loved watching me and Dad reconnect. He looked at me, really looked at me. You wouldn't say that if you were pretending. I felt my own tears start. Liam, I need to show you something. I grabbed my phone and pulled up the original message thread with Amber, the one Monica had edited. I showed him the real timestamps, the full context. His face went pale as he read. These aren't the same, he whispered. No, they're not. Someone edited them. Mom? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. He knew. Liam sat in silence for a long time, staring at my phone. Then he pulled out his own phone and opened a folder. She sent me the screenshots, he said. Told me I needed to stop the wedding, that you were going to ruin our lives. He showed me his messages with Monica. You have to do this, Liam. For your father. She'll take everything from us. You're the only one who can save him. I felt sick reading them. She'd manipulated a 16-year-old boy into destroying his father's wedding. Did she tell you what to say? I asked gently. Liam nodded, shame flooding his face. She practiced it with me, the objection, the words. She said I had to be confident so people would believe me. And the screenshots. She gave them to me the morning of the wedding, said she'd just found them, that she'd been investigating you to protect Dad. He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. I believed her, Bailey. I thought I was helping. I know. I destroyed your wedding. I destroyed us. I reached over and took his hand. You were being used, Liam, by someone who should have protected you. He broke down completely then, and I held him while he cried, the same way I'd held him after his first heartbreak, after his panic attacks, after everything, because despite everything, he was still just a kid who'd been caught in his mother's war. After Liam calmed down, we talked for hours. He told me everything, how Monica had started calling more frequently after Daniel proposed to me, how she'd asked careful questions about our plans, our finances, our future, everything. How she'd slowly planted seeds of doubt. She said you were moving too fast, Liam explained, that women like you always had ulterior motives. Women like me? Younger women, going after older men with money. I was only 3 years younger than Daniel, but I didn't correct him. She made it sound like she was worried about me, Liam continued, like she was being a good mom. But there was something else, something darker underneath. I decided to dig deeper into Monica's life. The next morning, I called an old colleague who did background checks for divorce cases. Can you look into someone for me? Quietly? Who? Monica Stevens. It took him 2 days. When he called back, his voice was serious. Bailey, this woman is in serious financial trouble. How serious? Credit cards maxed out, behind on rent, car about to be repossessed. Then my stomach dropped. There's more. She recently applied for a loan using Daniel's information as a reference. It was denied. She tried to use Daniel? Yeah, and she's been asking him for money directly. I found Venmo transactions. Small amounts. A few hundred here and there. Monica was desperate. And desperate people do dangerous things. I met with my background check colleague in person to review the documents. There, in black and white, was Monica's financial disaster. Eviction notices, collection agency letters, maxed out credit cards with minimum payments she couldn't afford. But the most damning piece was an email. My colleague had accessed it through public records from a court filing related to her landlord dispute. In the email, Monica had written to her sister, if Daniel remarries, any inheritance Liam might get becomes complicated. I need to make sure she doesn't get her claws into what's rightfully ours. Inheritance? Daniel's parents had left him a substantial trust and Liam was the primary beneficiary after Daniel. But if Daniel remarried, a new spouse could potentially contest that in the future, or at minimum, access those funds during the marriage. Monica wasn't just trying to break us up. She was trying to protect her financial future through her son. And she'd been willing to destroy Liam's relationship with me and Daniel's happiness to do it. This is evidence of fraud, my colleague said. The edited screenshots, the false claims, the money she took from your account using Daniel's information. Can we prove she did all of it? With Liam's testimony? Absolutely. I sat back processing everything. Monica had used her own son as a weapon, and now I had the power to expose her. But I needed to be careful about how I do it. For Liam's sake. That evening, Liam came back to my apartment. He'd been staying with his friend Nathan, avoiding both his parents' houses. "I keep thinking about the wedding," he said quietly. "Everyone's staring, you standing there in your dress. Liam, I ruined the most important day of your life." His voice cracked. "I stood up in front of everyone and called you a liar, a gold digger. I humiliated you." He put his head in his hands. "How do you not hate me?" I moved closer to him on the couch. "Because you're not the villain here, Liam. You were being manipulated by someone you trusted. I should have known better. You're 16, she's your mother. You're supposed to be able to trust her." He looked up at me, his eyes red and swollen. "I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to make Dad believe you." "I do," I said quietly. I told him about the financial records, the emails and the evidence. His face went pale. "She used me," he whispered. "Yes, to steal from you, from Dad." "Yes." He was silent for a long moment. Then he looked at me with a determination I hadn't seen before. "I want to help you fix this," he said. "I want to tell Dad the truth, all of it." "Are you sure?" He nodded. "I need to make this right." And I saw the child in him again. The good kid who'd been buried under his mother's lies. "Okay," I said. "Then we do this together." Daniel's birthday was in 2 weeks. Every year he had a small dinner party with close friends and family, and each time, Monica would find a way to be invited. For Liam's sake, Daniel always said, this year would be different. We had a plan. Liam would attend the dinner as usual. I wouldn't be there, obviously. Daniel and I were still separated, but Liam would bring something with him, the truth. We spent the next 2 weeks preparing. Liam practiced what he'd say. We organized the evidence, bank statements, emails, the original, unedited message threads, and most importantly, we had the recordings. Liam had kept the original audio files his mother had sent him before she'd edited them. He'd never deleted them from his phone. "I don't know why I kept them," he told me. "Something just felt wrong." Those files were our smoking gun. We could play the edited versions Monica had created, then play the originals, and everyone would hear exactly what she'd done. The night before the dinner, Liam called me. "What if he doesn't believe me?" he asked, his voice shaking. "He will. Because you're telling the truth. What if he's too angry? Then we give him time. But Liam, he deserves to know what really happened." "I'm scared." "I know. But you're brave. Braver than you think." There was a pause. "Bailey, yeah? I'm sorry for everything." "I know, sweetheart. I know." Tomorrow, everything would change. The night of Daniel's birthday dinner, I waited in my apartment. Liam texted me updates. "Just arrived. Mom's already here? Dad seems happy. This is going to be hard." It's time. I imagined the scene. Daniel at the head of the table, his best friend, Vincent, and Vincent's wife, his brother and Monica, playing the role of concerned ex-wife. Liam stood up. "Dad, everyone, I need to say something." The room went quiet. "I need to apologize, and I need to tell the truth about the wedding." He told me later that Daniel's face went pale. "Liam, we don't need to do this now." "Yes, we do, because I lied. Not on purpose, but I was wrong." He explained everything. How Monica had shown him the edited screenshots, how she'd convinced him I was dangerous, how she'd coached him to object during the ceremony. "She told me I was protecting you, Dad, protecting us." Monica tried to interrupt. "Liam, honey, you're confused." "No, Mom, I'm not confused anymore." He pulled out his phone. "I have proof." And he played the recordings. First, the edited version. My voice, manipulated to sound cruel and calculating. Then, the original. The full context. The truth. The room was silent. Daniel stared at Monica. "You did this?" "Daniel, he's been influenced by her. Answer the question." Did you edit those messages? Monica's face crumbled. I was protecting our son, and that's when I knew we'd won. Liam called me immediately after. I did it. I told him everything. And? Mom denied it at first, but then I showed him the bank statements, the withdrawals you found. What did he say? He's processing, but Bailey, he knows. He finally knows. I felt relief wash over me. Is he angry? At Mom? Yeah, at himself too. For believing her. And at me? There was a pause. He wants to talk to you, tomorrow. The next day, Daniel came to my apartment. He looked exhausted, older somehow. We sat across from each other, the silence heavy. I'm sorry, he said finally. I know. I should have defended you at the wedding. I should have trusted you. Yes, you should have. I wasn't gonna make this easy for him. He deserved the guilt. Monica showed me messages between you two, I said. She was manipulating you too. I know, I saw them. The money she took, the lies she told Liam. He put his head in his hands. I doubted you, the woman I was supposed to marry. I chose to believe my ex-wife over you. You chose to believe your son. Liam was repeating what Monica taught him to say. I pulled out my folder of evidence, the bank records, the emails, the court documents showing Monica's financial desperation. She was using both of you, I said quietly. For money, for control, for Liam's inheritance, for whatever she could get. Daniel looked at the evidence, his face darkening. And the recordings? I played them for him, all of them, the edited versions, then the originals. His hands shook as he listened to his ex-wife's manipulation. How did I not see this? He whispered. Because she knew exactly how to play you. When the final recording ended, Daniel looked at me. Can you forgive me? Daniel's question hung in the air. Could I forgive him? I'd spent months planning a wedding, years building a relationship with his son. I'd invested everything into this family, and he'd thrown it away based on lies. I don't know, I said honestly. That seemed to break something in him. Bailey, you didn't just doubt me, Daniel. You abandoned me, in front of everyone, on what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I was trying to protect Liam. By destroying me, he had no answer for that. I need time, I said. Real time. Not a few days, not a few weeks. How much time? However long it takes for me to believe you won't do this again. He nodded slowly. And Monica? What about her? I'm filing for a modification of the custody agreement, and I'm reporting the financial fraud. Good. Liam wants her to face consequences. That surprised me. He said that? He's been staying with me. He doesn't want to see her right now. I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. Liam was safe, but his relationship with his mother was destroyed. I need you to leave now, I said quietly. Bailey. Please, I need to process all of these alone. He stood up slowly, lingering at the door. I love you. I never stopped. Love isn't enough, Daniel. Trust is. He left, and I sat in my apartment crying again. But this time, they were different tears. Not grief, but relief. The truth was finally out. 2 weeks later, Liam came to see me. Dad wants to talk to you again, he said, but I wanted to check with you first. I'd been avoiding Daniel's calls. What does he want to say? That he's been going to therapy, that he's working on trust issues, that he's really actually sorry. Liam sat down across from me. I know it's not my place to ask you to forgive him, or me. Liam, but I miss you. I miss our family, even if it was broken. My heart ached. I miss you too. Could we try again? Slowly? I thought about it. Could I trust Daniel again? Could I risk my heart a second time? On one condition, I said, anything. Trust has to be rebuilt, slowly, with actions, not words. I'll tell Dad. Over the next few months, Daniel showed up, not with grand gestures but with consistency. He called when he said he would. He listened when I talked. He gave me space when I needed it. He went to therapy, individually, and then with me. We talked about the wedding, about Monica, about the pain. And slowly, carefully, we started rebuilding. Liam came to family dinners at my apartment. We cooked together again, laughed again. It wasn't the same as before, but it was real. And one evening, 6 months after the canceled wedding, Daniel asked me a question. Would you marry me again someday? I looked at him, at the man who'd broken my heart but was working to heal it. Ask me again in a year, I said. I will, and I believed him. A year and a half after the disaster at the first wedding, I stood in a small garden chapel. No grand venue this time, no 200 guests, just close friends and family, the people who mattered, and Liam. My stepson walked me down the aisle. I'd asked him weeks before, my voice shaking with emotion. You don't have to, I'd said. I know this is complicated. I want to, he'd replied, if you'll let me. So there we were. Liam in a suit that made him look so much older than 17. Me in a simple ivory dress. Daniel waited at the altar, his eyes already wet. We'd been through hell to get here. Lies, manipulation, heartbreak, name it. But we'd survived. The officiant smiled warmly at the small gathering. We're here today to witness the marriage of Daniel and Bailey. I looked at the faces watching us. Amber, crying already. Daniel's brother, grinning. Even Daniel's mother, who'd flown in from Arizona. And Monica, she wasn't here. She wasn't allowed to be. The custody agreement had been modified, supervised visitation only, and Liam had chosen to limit contact. She'd made her choices. Now she lived with the consequences. The officiant continued. If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace. The room was silent. Then Liam, standing beside me, smiled, a real smile, full of love and mischief. No objections this time. Then, by the power vested in me, the officiant said, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Daniel pulled me close. I do, he whispered. I do, I whispered back. And finally, we got our happy ending. If you enjoyed my story, click the subscribe button for more.